The offseason continues on and blockbuster trades can happen at any second.
I'm going to send you, Green Bay, my 4 first-round picks, 2 in 2022, 2 in 2023, and I'm going to send you Tua.
Most of the top free agents have signed, and the 2021 NFL Draft is over. But that doesn't mean the trade market will cool down between now and opening kickoff. If the fans have their way, more giant trades will take place over the next few months. With that said, let's take a look at 10 blockbuster trades that could still totally happen this offseason. Broncos win the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. The Green Bay Packers reluctantly stole a large portion of headlines at the 2021 NFL Draft when ESPN's Adam Schefter reported that reigning MVP Aaron Rodgers wanted out. Apparently, Rodgers has informed some people in the organization that he doesn't want to return to the Packers. GM Brian Gutekunst has emphasized that he won't trade the future Hall of Famer. But if Rodgers keeps his stance, Green Bay won't have a choice. Pro Football Talk then reported that Rodgers has the Denver Broncos, Las Vegas Raiders, and San Francisco 49ers on his wish list. While the 49ers probably aren't going to make a play for him after now drafting Trey Lance 3rd overall. The Raiders seem content with Derek Carr, but the Broncos desperately need a quarterback, and they have the pieces to make a move work. Do the Broncos really think that Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater will help them compete with the Chiefs in the AFC West? They have every incentive to make the move. Our guess is something along the lines of Rodgers for Lock, the Broncos' 2022 and 2023 first-rounders, 2 future second-rounders, a 2022 third-rounder, and wide receiver Courtland Sutton. That's more than enough draft capital for the Packers to build around Jordan Love. Lock could serve as a backup, and Sutton would give Green Bay a much-needed number 2 receiver. And for the Broncos, hello Super Bowl contention. Colts land Julio Jones. Before the draft, NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reported that the Atlanta Falcons have received calls on All-Pro receiver Julio Jones, as evidenced by the decision to draft Kyle Pitts over Matt Ryan's potential successor. The Falcons clearly aren't keen on rebuilding just yet, but Jones is 32, injury-prone, and entering the final years of his prime. Their new GM should trade Jones while his value is high, and he can get the most draft capital out of him. The Indianapolis Colts have a need for an elite number 1 wideout. Michael Pittman Jr., T.Y. Hilton, and Zach Pascal are better off as number 2 or 3 options for newcomer Carson Wentz. Jones would fit tremendously in Frank Reich's pass-happy offense. He'll open up the field for Wentz and other Colts wideouts. And this is the type of player you want if you're trying to hang with the top AFC clubs. We'll guess that the Colts go all in here and acquire Jones in exchange for their 2022 third-rounder, plus second and third-round picks in 2023. Lions acquire Odell Beckham Jr. The Detroit Lions need to upgrade the supporting cast for Jared Goff after losing Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones in free agency. We love their decision to take Penei Sewell with the number 7 selection. That's a generational talent you just can't pass on. But we're surprised that the Lions ignored the skill positions at the draft. How can Goff succeed with this current group? Luckily for him and the Lions, there's always the trade market. Cleveland Browns wideout Odell Beckham Jr. hasn't been a great fit with his second NFL team. Given his hefty contract, GM Andrew Berry may be better off dealing him now. This isn't a knock against OBJ. The Browns are a run-heavy offense, and Beckham just isn't going to flourish in Kevin Stefanski's offense. If Cleveland doesn't need Beckham, why keep his expensive contract on the books? Detroit has a ton of draft capital thanks to the Matthew Stafford trade. They may as well use some of it to give Goff a much-needed number 1 wideout. Beckham won't come cheap. We're talking about an all-pro wide receiver here. A 2022 second-rounder plus 1 or 2 mid-round selections should be enough to convince Cleveland to make the deal. Beckham is in his prime and can contribute immediately, while Cleveland adds extra picks while greatly improving their cap situation. Win-win for both teams. Patriots move on and trade N'Keal Harry to Bears. The New England Patriots 2019 first-round pick has been mentioned in trade rumors quite often this offseason. And when you consider the amount of money that Bill Belichick threw at Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith and Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne in free agency, it's just safe to say that Harry is on borrowed time in Foxborough. He just hasn't cut it in New England, and Belichick is never afraid to cut his losses. Harry needs a fresh start, and the Chicago Bears make sense as a landing spot for him. They need to upgrade the supporting cast for rookie Justin Fields, whom they traded up to land with the number 11 selection. Allen Robinson, David Montgomery, Darnell Mooney, and Jimmy Graham lead a solid group of skill position players on offense. But the Bears could use another weapon, especially considering that Anthony Miller may not be around much longer. Maybe Harry finds his groove in Matt Nagy's offense. Maybe he works better with Fields compared to Tom Brady and Cam Newton. It's worth taking a chance on him if you're the Bears. Harry for a 4th-round pick feels like a reasonable deal. Seahawks acquire Evan Engram from Giants. The New York Giants standout tight end has also been frequently brought up in trade rumors. And seeing how much GM Dave Gettleman invested on offense this offseason, an Engram trade really does feel inevitable. New York signed former Detroit Lions star Kenny Golladay, speedster John Ross, and veteran veteran tight end Kyle Rudolph. They used the number 20 selection on Florida wideout Kadarius Toney, as if Daniel Jones didn't have high enough playmakers already. This is the opportune time for the Giants to trade Engram, and the Seattle Seahawks could use help at tight end. Russell Wilson needs more weapons. He's overly reliant on DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Adding Engram would provide Wilson with a much-needed end zone threat and a valuable security blanket. The Giants clearly aren't factoring Engram into their long-term plans, so a trade to Seattle for 2 mid-round selections makes sense for everyone. Panthers bring in competition, acquire Marcus Mariota. The Carolina Panthers surprised many this offseason, first acquiring Sam Darnold from the New York Jets in exchange for 3 picks, including a 2022 second-rounder. Then after trading 2020 starter Teddy Bridgewater to the Broncos, many predicted that Carolina would take a quarterback with the number 8 pick, but they passed on Mac Jones and Justin Fields, thus showing the world they're all in on Darnold. Listen, there's no doubt that Darnold is in a great position to succeed in Carolina, compared to what he had to deal with in New York. The Jets failed him from day one, but there's also still some risk to trusting Darnold with the starting duties. Having traded Bridgewater, Carolina is now lacking a capable veteran starter to compete with Darnold. Perhaps the Raiders are willing to do business. Las Vegas is all in with Derek Carr. They're paying Marcus Mariota too much to sit on the bench. Why not trade him and free up some money? And if you're Carolina, why not get a potential backup plan in case Darnold struggles? Mariota should be available for a 5th or 6th round selection. So Carolina, what are you waiting for? Jets get Zach Wilson more help and acquire Zach Ertz. Despite constant rumors, the Eagles still haven't dealt disgruntled tight end Zach Ertz. What's the delay? Philly made it clear to Ertz last offseason that they won't extend him. The guy had a down season, sure, but he can still produce at a Pro Bowl level. At this point, the Eagles should just take whatever they can for Ertz. The New York Jets wasted no time building around Zach Wilson. Corey Davis was signed in free agency, USC guard Elijah Vera Tucker, Ole Miss wideout Elijah Moore, and North Carolina running back Michael Carter were added in the draft. But why should GM Joe Douglas stop there? He knows Ertz well from his time in Philly, and it never hurts to give your young QB as many weapons as possible. At this point, Ertz can probably be had for a 4th to 5th round pick. His leadership skills would fit nicely on the energetic atmosphere that new head coach Robert Saleh brings. Bills upgrade the pass rush, land Dee Ford. Despite finishing with the 2nd best record in the AFC en route to a conference championship appearance, the Bills' defense was quite a disappointment in 2020. They went to 2nd in scoring defense to 16th in just 1 year. A big reason for that was their lack of quality pass rushers. AJ Klein and Mario Addison shared the team lead with just 5 sacks apiece. Good luck winning a Super Bowl these days if you can't get after the quarterback. The Bills spent their first 2 picks on defensive ends Gregory Rousseau and Carlos Basham Jr., but you can't ask your rookies to do all the heavy lifting. Help is needed. The 49ers should be open to trading veteran Dee Ford, who simply hasn't panned out since signing a giant $87.5 million deal following a trade from the Kansas City Chiefs in 2019. Injuries have limited Ford to 12 games with the 49ers. He played just 1 game in 2020. Even if he's healthy in 2021, the 49ers have enough pass rushers in Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, and Fred Warner. They may as well trade Ford while he has some value, and the Bills should be willing to take a chance on him despite the hefty contract and injury history. How about Ford to the Bills for Verdon Butler and a 5th round pick? Ford restructures his deal and happily accepts the change of scenery. Cardinals go all in and acquire Stephon Gilmore. A late season collapse prevented the Arizona Cardinals from ending a 5-year playoff drought in 2020. GM Steve Keim didn't take that so well, as evidenced by an ultra-aggressive offseason. Keim signed perennial Pro Bowlers J.J. Watt and A.J. Green in free agency. He acquired Rodney Hudson from the Las Vegas Raiders to beef up the O-line. He added running backs James Conner and Super Bowl 49 hero Malcolm Butler, before using his 1st round pick on Tulsa linebacker Zaven Collins. But could there be more moves ahead? Patriots star corner Stephon Gilmore remains a hot trade candidate. He's entering the final years of his deal. Arizona has a need at corner following Patrick Peterson's departure. The Patriots should be open to trading Gilmore in his contract year. We could see the Cardinals acquiring Gilmore for a starter like Christian Kirk or Jordan Hicks with a 3rd round pick. That would be a reasonable price for a star player that will likely hit free agency in 2022. 49ers trade Garoppolo to quarterback needy Washington. It's hard not to be disappointed with the way the reigning NFC East champions approached the quarterback position this offseason. They released Alex Smith and signed veteran journeyman Ryan Fitzpatrick, whom they all know by now isn't a full-time starter. Washington's 3 NFC East rivals all made significant moves to get better this offseason. Sure, the football team got by with poor quarterback play in 2020, but asking Fitzpatrick, Kyle Allen, and Taylor Heineke to carry the offense is not a smart move. If you're a Washington fan, you can only hope that Ron Rivera and new GM Martin Mayhew have something up their sleeves. How about going after Jimmy G? The 49ers should be willing to trade their expensive injury-prone starter after drafting Trey Lance with a number 3 selection. They could save $23.6 million if they trade or cut Garoppolo before June 1st, according to Over the Cap. That number moves up to $25 million if they trade or cut him after the date. If you're Washington, there's no more time to lose. This is your chance to get a capable starting quarterback at the right price. Given his hefty contract, however, the 49ers should expect a great return for Garoppolo. Our guess here would be future 3rd and 5th round picks. For Washington, that would be a great price, and Jimmy G would definitely up their chances of repeating as a division champion. What other blockbuster NFL trades do you think could happen this offseason? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, we're on everything. Go find us, go subscribe. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes one click down below, and subscribe to TPS. We post videos every single day. Every day is a new video. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
On my knee.